The following has been brought to you by RockSolidFanClub.ca.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is now time. We bring you another edition, the one and only Unstable Roundtable. The Unstable Roundtable. The Unstable Roundtable. The Unstable Roundtable. The Unstable Roundtable. 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 Unstable Roundtable.
All right. First and foremost, thank you to everybody joining us here on what you saw is definitely the most unstable roundtable that I think we've put together yet. My favorite part of this entire thing was while the intro was playing, Bradie, I don't know if you noticed or not, but Ricky Wilde sitting back in the green screen room, or just the green room as it were, holding up his shirt like anybody could see what the hell he was wearing. Yes,
because I knew you were watching, Tid. I got you.
Yes, I'm talking about the Kissmeister General himself, pretty Ricky Wilde joining us, and of course some cultural appropriation going on from our hand job connoisseur over here, from the Raw Dawg Samurai Pizza Cat, or maybe it's just a piece of cat. Or maybe it's a piece of scat. I don't know. Either way, Eric is joining us as usual. It's going to be always jokes when he's around. And LBW, of course, little Bradie Whetham, who can't get his own shit together, but he clearly is paying either too much of a bill or not enough of a bill, because it's now August and this man is wearing a leather jacket indoors.
It's so fucking cold in my house right now, dude.
Who's showing off now? You know what? There's people in Africa dying of heat exhaustion, and you're sitting here going, I'm just going to layer up in the middle of August.
And he looks sweet.
Well, he is sweet.
I am a sweet little fucking tart, aren't I?
Sweet.
Like what a
like
sweetie pie.
Yo, shouts out to Costco right now. They've got these little lemon cake things. Fuck, so good.
All right. So yeah, we're not literally putting anybody else over unless they're paying for it. So Costco will send you a bill this time. How about that? Listen, we're going to talk about this because it's coming up, and I'm going to refer to this. No, not your titties, Ricky. Jesus.
Titties out, boys.
I'm going to show. This is what I'm referring to this weekend's show, is the SummerSlam wrestling preview. All right, because SummerSlam weekend. Let's get into it. Is this, first and foremost, is this the show where we finally get some of these surprises that we've been talking about? Right? Is this the time to set them up? We're going to get to that part. Is this the time to start switching some belts up? We're going to get to that part. Is this a time for just to have, I don't know, more than 5 matches on a PLE or pay-per-view? I mean, SummerSlam has always been one of the big ones, right? So, Eric, I want to go to you first because you are the resident WWE aficionado, as it were, here. And I want to find out from you, I mean, okay, I guess we're doing that part of it. Anyways, he clearly doesn't give a shit about your opinion on any of this stuff. Listen.
To the audio listener, Bradie decided this is a good time for a bathroom break, so you can also join in on that. We're all taking peas together collectively before Eric speaks.
We don't have. I thought we had buckets going on underneath us, but okay. I guess that we're being classy. We're using toilets today, boys.
I mean, I refer to her as more of a bucket, but anyways, you go ahead. Is this SummerSlam shaping up? Glad I got that out. To be one of the better SummerSlams, or where are you ranking this one first of all?
So it's hard for me to look at rankings of anything before we actually get the event. So the card itself, they've done a good job of shaping it up really in a short period of time from PLE to PLE, because That just seems to be the case now, right? If we have one PLE, we're going to get another. Well, let's just call it pay-per-view, guys. I want to call it a pay-per-view. We're going to get another pay-per-view in, let's say, 3 weeks, right? Okay. So here we are building on these storylines very long-term for some of these matches, and then the others are kind of a little thrown together. So when we're looking at long-term storytelling, we have to look at CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and the involvement of Seth Rollins. Now, Dave Meltzer even recently came out and said that he really didn't like how Seth Rollins was interjected in it because of the outfit choice that he was wearing.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know, you guys.
I don't give a fuck about what Dave Meltzer says.
I was just going to say, may I put my 2 cents in real quick? You just dropped a fucking N-bomb on here, bro.
Well, listen.
Meltzer.
This is
the M-bomb.
And we will deal with absolutely no negativity.
Oh, no. Okay, fine. No negativity whatsoever. So all positive stuff going forward. I love everything about SummerSlam. No, honestly, when you have to look at what's the most exciting match on this card, it has to be Drew versus CM Punk. They've built it up as good as they possibly can. Drew has just been absolutely killing it, torching him on social media. I love the Jack Perry photo. I love everything that's been going on in this feud. I love the interjection of blood and color back into wrestling as well for this feud. So that's got to be the top match that you're looking at for this weekend. Besides that, again, long-term storytelling. I don't know how much people are on board with it as much as, let's say, certain parts of the fan base. But Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley is finally going to happen. And the big question about that, which I'd love to, throw back onto, let's say, even Bradie, is everybody is saying this is when Dom turns. Bradie, is this when Dom turns? Or is that a catastrophically bad idea at this time?
Turns from what? Is he a heel right now or is he a face?
I'd say that Judgment Day kind of lies on heel/face faction. I don't know. They've been comedy faction for a little while when they had R-Truth. I don't really see them as heels. What I mean is separated from Rhea Ripley.
No.
Yeah.
Ricky, what would you do in that instance?
Well, I just, clearly people are in on booing Dom. They enjoy it. It's part of the gag. It's part of the fun. So whether he's a heel or face is hard because people boo him out of the building, but I do think they're enjoying it. So him going with Liv would I guess that would get him some real heat, whatever. But it's fine. It's going to Finn. Finn is costing Rhea the belt here. It's clear as day. Finn is a snake in the grass, and he looks way too ripped up to be playing second fiddle in the position that he's in. Damian Priest is not the leader of the group. They can try as much as they want to make him the leader, the big tough guy. He's just not. And Finn Balor is a great example of the fact that he's like 5'4", and he is so much cooler than Damian Priest. It's wild. So if I was in the situation, I would have Finn Balor turn on Rhea Ripley and get with Liv Morgan and be super cool and let everyone recognize just how cool he is. But if I was actually in the arena, then I would probably kick Finn Balor in the kneecap and try to steal the position for myself to make it more cool for myself. I didn't know which one you were asking, Tid.
It's interesting that you say that, though, because if you do that and if you have Finn cost the whole thing, isn't he one half of a tag team champion? So does that put McDonald's there in like a weird position
intentionally
where that's what I'm saying. Like, I like this idea where you've got the tag team is where the inner turmoil is coming from. For Judgment Day, everybody assumed that it was going to be, we're going to turn Rhea babyface, we're going to do turn Damian babyface, because that's kind of the direction that they're going. But the swerve of having Finn but still keeping the belts, and JD is like stuck in the middle of all of this thing.
And he's Finn's boy, and Liv got them the tag title match. So he's got things in both camps. He doesn't quite know what to do with himself.
Interesting.
But like for Rhea, for example, is Rhea a heel? Like, I know that they probably want to look her to be a heel, but dude, she's a beloved baby face.
Big sexy face since WrestleMania.
Exactly, dude. I am on the record saying that she is the moneymaker of this company. There is nobody else who draws like Rhea Ripley right now. Maybe Cody, of course, on SmackDown. That's why they had to separate the two of them to the two brands. So Rhea's return is gigantic, absolutely gigantic.
I got something to call you on while you're going there.
Please.
You don't think CM Punk is a bigger draw than Rhea Ripley?
You know what? I mean, you make a very good point by saying that, but I think that the problem with CM Punk is every time that we get bits and pieces of him, that's just all we get, and he can't have the opportunity to fully prove himself as a performer. Do the crowds like him more? Will they chant his name more? Probably, but we don't get enough of him, really.
Let's reverse that then. Let's go into somebody who's always there, despite even being through working through injury. Seth Rollins. Is Rhea Ripley a bigger draw than Seth?
Yes.
Yes.
You think so?
100%.
More intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
More interesting character.
Okay. And Rhea obviously is a bigger draw than Drew McIntyre then. We all agree with that.
I might disagree there. I think Drew might have actually put in the work to establish himself as a bigger star, bigger draw. He's established that if he leaves the WWE, he will become a bigger star in that atmosphere. He's done it before. He's proven he can completely take over the WWE, and he's also proven that he can be cool. And I feel like Seth Rollins has done a lot in the WWE. He still has yet to really prove that he can be like the cool guy. Even when he's like edgy, it's little forced, little plastic, where Drew McIntyre has come off as very authentic. And despite the fact that he is the bad guy, very much torching my childhood hero, CM Punk, he's cool. He's goddamn cool. He's the kind of guy who I love to point to and be like, that's a wrestler, and I watch wrestling, and that's a wrestler. He's a cool guy.
The irony in you saying that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the irony in you saying that Seth it's trying too hard. I honestly think if you were signed to the WWE right now, you'd be a perfect assistant for Seth.
Oh, I would do so good carrying his bags. Oh, man. I would shine his shoes so well. Those big red rubber boots, I'd live right in the left one. It would be great.
But here's the thing, though. You talk about Drew McIntyre being a bigger star. Like if he were to go someplace else and he would just explode there. If you think for 1 second Rhea Ripley showing up anywhere else doesn't blow the entire wrestling world up, that's insane. I mean, that's bigger than the latest talk about, Tony Khan having a meeting with, Shane McMahon. Who gives a shit? Right? Like,
I'd be excited to see it. I'd love to see it.
Listen, cheer for everything. Okay, so do we think there's going to be any big surprises in this match?
Finn.
In that specific match? I think that everyone's in agreement. I would assume that there's going to be some sort of swerve. We just don't know who it's going to be.
All right.
I would fantasy book Finn. I would honestly fantasy book Finn as well in that position. And I had that conversation with somebody for about 10 minutes already this week. I see it happening. And Finn has always kind of been that measuring bar anyways. For Finn to say, for example, lose some steam by going with Liv, he probably won't lose some steam. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is Finn is okay losing. When Finn loses matches, it doesn't really hurt his position in the upper mid tier of the card. For Dominic Mysterio to go ahead and turn and move away from Rhea right now, which I think they both need each other for at least another year, it would be terrible for the development of Dom. And I think me and Bradie have had the conversation a million times about how we think Dom is a future champion. So
wait,
I think
hold on. Are you saying that you're saying it wouldn't work because that would mean that you'd say that Dom would end up being developmentally challenged?
It's not so much developmentally challenged.
He would be delayed in his progress. His progress would be delayed. His development would be delayed.
So obviously, if something like that happens during the women's match, that's not going to be before the match with Damian Priest and Gunther. So what kind of ramifications do you end up with during that match? If you've got Finn running amok already, right?
You think it should open the show? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that you've got to find a way to, because I mean, are we all in agreement that Gunther is gonna get the belt here?
Yeah,
they're getting ready to go to Germany.
Here's the thing. I think it's a guarantee that Gunther walks away with the title here, but the whole thing has been, has Damian Priest been able to defend the title by himself? Has he been able to do it in that? So I think in this position, there almost has to be interference from Judgment Day that leads to the defeat, because if the one and only time that he defends his title straight up, he loses, that would be a really rough start to a babyface launch.
So, but as much as I do think it's a monumental moment for the King of the Ring, the match to happen with Gunther, I think there may be something here with Gunther getting screwed or a double DQ, so that it can lead to the pop that would happen in Germany if Gunther wins the belt. Because I think going into Germany with the belt, yes, it's going to be loud. And if he wins in Germany and retains his championship, yes, the pop is going to be loud. But him coming down as the hometown hero going for the title in Germany, it makes a lot more sense than just being the King of the Ring and winning because it's at SummerSlam. So I think that both of these matches are going to interweb at some point. And I think it's hard to predict because the WWE is doing a very good job with making TV that is hard to predict right now. So what else you got for us, Chris?
I mean, okay, so we're outside of those ones. Then you've got obviously the big one, the main event. The Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline storyline with Cody. I mean, is this going to end, or is this a place card match because we're just waiting for the inevitable? We're waiting for the next Bloodline member to show up. We're waiting for The Rock to come back. We're waiting for Roman Reigns to come back. We're waiting for Paul Heyman to do something. Like, what do you do with this SummerSlam match, Eric?
Okay, so the first thing that kind of threw me for a loop, because when I look at this card, I would think that the main event has to be Punk McIntyre. Like, that's the heater that's on this card here, but everybody loves Cody, and of course this is the undisputed title. Yeah, I don't know what's really going to happen here. Ultimately, if I want a fantasy book and if I want a big surprise, if I really want something, I've wanted it for a while. I want Roman back. And Fox wants Roman. And Netflix wants Roman back. So Roman is going to have to come back at some point. The question is this one of the big events to do it at? Yes, it definitely is. Has Roman had some time off, been rejuvenated? All this good stuff is coming out also recently about Roman online. Have you guys seen that? There's a lot of stories about... Yeah, sorry. There's a lot of really nice guy stories about Roman Reigns in the back and guiding Aleister Black along and things like that. So I think that if this is the surprise we're going to get, I would like it to be Roman Reigns that interjects in this match. And we're setting up our way to Survivor Series long term.
Ricky, you look perturbed. What's up?
I don't think we're getting The Rock. I don't think we're getting him until WrestleMania. But I believe that Roman Reigns will wrestle Jacob Fatu for the first time on January when they move over to Netflix. So I have a hard time believing that Roman Reigns is coming back at the end of SummerSlam. And there is one member of the family who they have not yet made a star. And I think this might be the moment. So I think the end of SummerSlam calls for the return of Jimmy Uso.
Ooh.
Jimmy Uso. And I don't know if he costs Solo his opportunity, if he interplays in the match, or if he shows up after Solo is unable to beat Cody. It's a question mark, but I don't know. I feel like that's how you take the Bloodline story and go down that road, while Cody goes down the road of Kevin Owens, Randy Orton.
Well, think about it. If that's going to be your main event, you certainly, I mean, you can't finish this with a heel pop, right? It's going to have to be some kind of a babyface pop. So that's either Cody going over, or it's going to be some kind of screw job that later involves a return of somebody of magnitude to get that babyface pop, so that it kind of nullifies the belt switch, right? Because part of that storyline, I think, do you got to get that belt on Solo at some point? Right, because that's really the thing that needs to be fought for, I think, with Roman and Solo.
So, Chris, I think we'll steer this ship into where I think you're trying to get it. So let's say Cody wins or loses the belt. I think he wins, but I think he gets jumped by everybody afterwards. I think KO comes down, gets beat up. Randy may even come down, get beat up. Maybe even just some random names that you don't even think about come down and get beat up. Then you hear Paul Heyman say, "Excuse me," or whatever the fuck he says, like Vicky Guerrero, and out comes Bork.
Yeah. This is what I've been saying to you off camera. Guys, think about that for a second, because Paul Heyman hasn't been heard from, and he's got beef with Bloodline now. He's got beef with Solo and them, right? And if you're going to get Paul Heyman's family, Paul Heyman's guys back, you're talking about Roman Reigns. But maybe that's the one that's later on down the line, because you don't know which way Roman's going to go when he comes back. Is he going to come back as a Paul Heyman guy, or is he going to come back as a Bloodline guy? Because Paul Heyman could have his stuff already set up right now. Maybe he brings back the one guy that everybody seems to be afraid of. And I'm talking about Brock Lesnar. You bring Brock Lesnar back into the mix. Holy shit. The roof explodes off of there. And there have been little tiny hints lately. Triple H kind of dropped because somebody asked him, and it kind of made the airwaves a little bit. Oh, what's going on with Brock? And he said, you'd have to ask Brock. But when he's ready, we got something for him. Well, nobody's putting that out there unless you already got something for him. And I think that Brock Lesnar coming back with Paul Heyman, you beat up my friend Paul. And what that does is that also throws that unintentional wrench into the storyline of the Bloodline, because you thought that it was just going to be Samoans fighting Samoans. Well, now all of a sudden Paul Heyman's come back, and maybe he puts back, his new Dangerous Alliance 2.0 or whatever, right? Maybe we see Pat Tanaka show up out of this whole thing. Who knows? But I think Brock Lesnar is the biggest surprise.
So I think you're onto something. I think we could even future book right now, just from that right there. You could go into things like Brock is beating up Solo. So now him and Solo are feuding, but The Rock comes back and he gets the best of Brock. But then Cody's going after The Rock because they still have heat. And then Roman Reigns is thrown into this. The possibilities that lead out into a year out of this thing. And we know that the Bloodline storyline's not going anywhere anytime soon. This has got another 5 years on it if they really want to stretch this thing out and put it in the hands of a different generation down the road. And I think that's what they're doing. They're building a long-term story that hasn't really been done ever.
No, because at the end of this whole thing, some of these young dogs are going to have to retire some of that old guard.
Well, and you got to think now, too. I know we're all getting older, so time goes by quickly, but this entire Bloodline storyline has lasted longer than Hulk Hogan's original Hulkamania run.
Yeah.
We're getting into the point where this is like into the 5 and 6 years. Like Hogan took off, then he came back and started it again until the NWO. But we're talking like that initial run from 83, the end of 83, down to 89, 90. This story is almost rounding out this timeline here. So anyway,
it's the most impressive story on television. It's unbelievable. They were inspired by Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, and they've delivered something on that level. It's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan. There's never been a time I've been more proud to be able to show these are the scenes that get me hooked and have me interested in the next saga.
Yeah, they're making a movie. That's really what it is. And I've said this for the longest time when they talk about, oh, why isn't this company like that company? And you talk about AEW. AEW is a company that is a wrestling company that happens to have a TV show. WWE is a company that has a TV show that happens to be about a wrestling company.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. They create movies, they create TV shows, they create their own internal personal drama, and they've got it written out better than anybody. And they're doing a fantastic job. And I think that if you have Brock thrown into this mix, like you said, Bradie, I think that it extends the storyline even that much more, because now you've got tag matches, you've got one-on-ones, you can even do it so that Brock isn't there all the time, so that his schedule permits as well. Right. And then at some point, then you've got Roman coming back. Once that kind of gets some legs going on it, and then Roman comes back and everybody's like, well, is he with his family or is he with Paul Heyman?
So things you're looking forward to the most. Eric, SummerSlam. What are you looking forward to the most?
CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Absolutely. That's going to be the number one.
What are you looking forward
to? I'm looking for the
most?
big ending of Cody and Solo.
Chris.
Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov. I'll be
Wow.
honest with you. I'm looking forward to that because I want to see Braun Breaker finally get what he deserves and finally get that rub that he so rightfully deserves. Because I for one, would love to see down the road. I want to see Braun Breaker and Logan Paul. Sorry.
Ooh,
Awesome.
very fun.
Well, if you ask me, I'm looking forward to CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I think that's the money match here in the pay-per-view. I think that's the storyline that I'm the most intrigued by. And yeah, I'm stoked. Chris,
All right.
I've got a little
listen, I don't know if you know this or not. You saw it too on your phone? Because I saw it on mine as well. I don't know if you guys have heard about this yet or not, but I mean,
this just in. It looks like, now this is the rumor mill. We're not going to confirm anything. I'll let them confirm it. But it seems like Slam Wrestling is starting their own podcast network. Shouts out to the guys at Slam Wrestling. Whatever team that you have and you choose, I hope it is great, like the rest of the Canadian wrestling networks and radio shows. That is fantastic. Wow. Well, you heard it here first.
no, it's only
On the
20
law.
seconds too late. Good job, boys. I appreciate all of their efforts over there. Listen, I like all of the guys at Slam Wrestling, and welcome to the podcast world where you too can have such great guests as Pretty Ricky Wilde. I mean, and
Thank you. Thank you.
we have yet to see both of Eric's hands at the same time. I can only imagine how that's he's doing his best impression of Kimono I Don't Want to Lay Ya over there, down there in the bottom. But, what can you do? Eric, you're awesome. Ricky, you're awesome. Bradie, you're Bradie.
Something.
What the hell was... All right. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm Chris. We'll see you next time.
Subscribe now for more content and combat sports discussions.
This is the law. This is the law.